everybody. My name is Marcia Zeller, and I am chairing the Fair Housing Committee this year. Welcome to 2021. So back in November of 2020, just a couple months ago, the National Association of Realtors issued, for the first time, a formal, full-on apology for our industry's racist practices of the past. It did gain quite a bit of press, also sparked a fair amount of backlash within the membership. You may have seen it. So as I read deeper into the details around this apology, it started making sense that a lot of the backlash was coming from people not understanding the full extent of our history. And I'm going to include myself in that group. Not that I was sparking backlash, but this whole article exposed certain details that I was admittedly unaware of. And so in the spirit of that, it seemed like something worthy of a share. The apology accounts for NAR's supportive policies such as redlining, steering, and especially the encouragement of racial covenants. I am going to play the video so you can hear the president of NAR's verbal apology, or a segment of it. But before I do that, I do want to pull out two specific noteworthy historic details from this article that will help put this apology into context. Number one, straight from the article. Discriminatory practices weren't just tolerated for many years, they were baked into the our association's guiding principles for much of the 20th century. And the best example is this passage added to the Code of Ethics in 1924. Here we go. Added in 1924. Realtors should never be instrumental in introducing into a neighborhood members of any race or nationality or any individuals whose presence will clearly be detrimental to property values in that neighborhood. That was in there from 1924 to 1974. Number two, when President Lyndon Johnson signed the Fair Housing Act in 1968. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, when he signed this was just 2 weeks after Martin Luther King was assassinated. So anyway, when he passed this, the Association of Realtors actively fought against it. So we went down on the wrong side of history with that one in 1968. And furthermore, the association did not strike that discrimination clause I just read from its Code of Ethics until 6 years later, until 1974. Okay, let's take a look at this apology. It's about 90 seconds.
Hello, I'm Charlie Oppler, 2021 President of the National Association of Realtors. Because of our past mistakes, the real estate industry has a special role to play in this fight for fair housing. The tragic death of George Floyd and the national conversation on race that resulted has shifted the landscape for many Americans. In our industry, this shift brought a consensus that change starts with us. We must remember this history if we hope to repair today's racially divided communities and build a better future. Let me be clear. What realtors did was an outrage to our morals and our ideals. It was a betrayal of our commitment to fairness and equality. I'm here today as the president of the National Association of Realtors to say we were wrong. But we can't go back and fix our mistakes of the past, but we can look this problem squarely in the eye. And we can finally say on behalf of our industry that what realtors did was shameful and that we're sorry. I realize words are not enough. Actions are always louder than words. We must take positive action to remedy decades worth of inequality.
We do have a lot of work in order to make up for those decades of inequality. and making sure we fully understand our history so that we can fully own our history, it seems to be a necessary part of turning the page. And our story is this, our history is this. I'm just going to recap all these summaries of these articles. Realtors were the ones who openly supported the use of racial covenants. We started that. After a Supreme Court decision signaled that this might be a legal way to restrict who lives in certain communities, the National Association of Realtors started encouraging the development of these covenants at a board level. It was very official, very widespread, not random. This is how our industry developed. This was systemic. And soon thereafter, the federal government, with our industry support, got the green light to begin to redline and again, systemically segregated America's communities. That's our history in a nutshell. And now I just want to read straight up quote from Brian Greene in these articles. He is the guy, he has a different title now, but he basically handles all of the fair housing dealings on the National Association of Realtors Board. This is what he says in this article. So it may be hard for some people today to look back and fully appreciate that discrimination in the past was not just random acts of discrimination or bad agents here, bad agents there. It was how we organized communities with government support. The industry, the government, and individuals, the whole system, all agreeing this is how we should live. He goes on to say, the apologies for all of it. It's a recognition that we created a segregated society along with the government, and that we're now doing all the things we can to make sure that the housing industry works for the benefit of everybody. So today, we invite you to join us in owning our history. Even if today was the first time you really heard these details. Let's own our history and continue to work to change the story. Thanks for listening.